time of kickoff will depend what I eat. It's usually scrambled egg on some toast or something like that, just to get me going, give me the energy.
Nice. It's a bit of me, that's why I start most weeks.
All our players know exactly what to eat now before a match day, because we're doing our healthy goals program as well, aren't we, kids, at the minute, for those in the under 7s to under 11s group. During lockdown, we'll be doing our health webinars. So yeah, little insight as well from Callum himself, backing up what we've been telling you.
Yeah.
There's loads coming in regarding journey and things like that. We're going to go through all of that as well. Ben's put in, to be a baller, do you have to have a tattoo?
No, you don't have to have any tattoos. No, it's just personal preference, and if you want a tattoo when you get older, when you're old enough, then it's your decision. But you don't have to have a tattoo to be a baller.
There's loads regarding journey as well, guys, so don't worry too much about that. But a good one from one of our coaches, and Brendan's our under 9s coach within our regional program in Devon. Biggest coach influence, and why were they the biggest influence for you?
The biggest what, sorry?
And a youth coach influence, the biggest influence your coaches had you on at a younger age.
The biggest influence was what, the coach themselves, or?
Yeah, well, I guess so. Coach themselves.
So I've had various, obviously, going through the age groups at Southampton, I've had lots of coaches at a young age that influenced me a lot. And I had one coach called Terry Moore. I don't know if probably no one knows him. Terry Moore, Paul Williams, a couple of ex-pros. And when I was younger, just helped me out a lot, really, and gave me the advice that I still get now, and just taught me the things that I needed to know, really. And they just influenced me on the pitch, and they were good coaches for everyone at a young age, really, just giving the advice and the arm around you when you need it. So yeah, I've had a few good coaches.
Ideal. Good stuff. There's loads coming in about, there's some quite funny ones as well. There's 46 I'm still to get through. There's a lot about FIFA as well. Callum, are you a FIFA player?
To be honest, I'll be honest, no, I'm not. I'm not a FIFA player. I'm more of a COD player.
Oh, we've got that in there. We're going to have a little 6v6.
Yeah. We'll have a bit of a search and destroy game after, but...
Oh, let's do it. Honestly, unbelievable. What's your go-to gun?
My go-to one at the moment, I'm using the Kilo. I can't lie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm using the Kilo.
Right, who we got? Alfred said, have you met Harry Kane?
Harry Kane, I haven't met him, no. I've seen him play, I've seen him train. I haven't actually met and spoke to him, but I've seen him at the training ground when I was at St George's Park, which is the England training ground. Haven't met and spoke to him, but I've seen him around in the corridors and stuff.
Cool. Ideal. There's loads coming in. There's some really good ones. We're going to answer all of these in our chat anyway, and I know you guys are excited. Good one from Alfie is said, who Alfie plays in our under 10s as well.
Yeah.
How long did you do your ball mastery when you were 10 years of age? How long were you doing your ball mastery skills for?
Oh, it was, well, I'd just do it whenever I could, really. I'd always have a ball at my feet when I was younger, so it was sort of, there was no time on it. It was just, I would always have a ball with me when I was younger, always. I would finish school, I'd go straight out and I'd play football, and I'd sort of always have a ball at my feet, and it wouldn't leave me until I would go to bed, really. Cool. So, good. Yeah.
There's some coming in about school as well. We're gonna talk through that, but one specific one here is, how did you kind of juggle school? And if school wasn't kind of your main motivation or something you struggled with, how would you kind of deal with that, and how would you overcome it?
Well, it's tough, really, because it's hard to balance when you're so passionate about football and you love playing football. It's easy to forget, but at the end of the day, when you're in school, you need to be focusing on school and homework and stuff. And I'm sure your coaches and my coaches were the same with me when I was at school. School was the priority because football was never a given for me. It was never promised, and it never is for anyone. So schoolwork is the priority, and you need to sort of balance that. But when you're in school and you have your homework, that needs to be your priority. And then obviously when you're playing football, that is your time to forget all the schoolwork and all the homework that you've got that stored up and you forgot to do it. You can concentrate on playing football when you're on the pitch. But where schoolwork was always drummed into me that was the priority at a young age, and I needed to be fully focused on that, no matter what. So yeah.
Good stuff.
I've got a quick question, if that's all right, Tom.
Yeah.
Obviously, lockdowns been around for quite a lot of this year. What sort of stuff have you had to do during lockdown, or chose to do during lockdown to keep yourself going?
Yeah, I've had a lot of stuff to do, really. It's surprisingly sort of Zoom calls like this and fitness schedules that I've had to do. So in the first lockdown that we was in, when we couldn't go into train, I had to do a Zoom call every 10 a.m. every day, which was a fitness session, whether with the ball, without the ball. And then it was sort of off my own back doing my own fitness as well. So I didn't want to be stuck indoors all day. So I would go for runs or go for bike rides and keep myself active, really, and stay as fit as possible, which is hard to do when you're not playing football. But yeah, a lot of running, a lot of Zoom calls like this, a lot of sessions that I was given to do, whether that be running or cycling or, yeah, so I had to stay active and do things like this and a fitness session on Zoom and stay as busy as possible to keep myself fit.
Parents, if you can tag us, and I can see if you taking photos. If you take photos, tag us in your social media posts, okay? At us on Instagram or tag us in a post on Facebook, and we'll be able to share that as well. I'm going to ask 2 more questions, and then we're going to get going. Final 2 is, loads of people are asking if you have a Lamborghini, but I'm not going to ask. What's your favourite car, Callum?
I don't have a Lamborghini. I would love one, but I don't know. I don't have one.
And last one I'm going to ask before we get going is, well, there's really good ones coming in. We're going to go for, what is it like playing in front of a stadium of kind of screaming and fans cheering?
Yes, it is. It's strange. If I'm honest, I made my debut 2 years ago when I was 20, and I played at Turf Moor, Burnley away it was, and I think it was 40,000. I think they hold 40,000 at Turf Moor, and it was a sellout. And it's nerve-wracking at the start when they're warming up and the fans are piling in and you can hear it, and it's a loud stadium. But once the game kicked off, it was sort of everything was blocked out. It was a normal game, and I think that's becomes the norm when you play in front of people, that once the whistle goes, that you don't pay attention, really.
Amazing. I mean, for you guys listening now, you're really getting a real good insight about somebody who has been there, done it. Like I said, we're going to talk about his journey of how Callum has represented and captained our country, and then how he's also captained Southampton as well at various different age groups. So what we're going to do now, we're going to start. So I'm going to share my screen with all of you guys. Let me know, give me some thumbs up if you can see everything on there. If you can see everything, ideal, give us some thumbs up. Cool. So here we go. So we are obviously delighted that we have got Callum talking to us. So Callum is a first team professional footballer at Southampton, a captain of the under-23s as well. Someone who's also represented England at various different ages. So we're going to talk about his early development, his life as a professional player, and how he can give you advice and how he can help you guys. You want to play at the best level you possibly can. And tonight's a real good time for you to get an insight about what it actually takes. So we're going to start with the early stages of your career, if that's all right, Callum. So
Yeah.
within the early stages, what's kind of your earliest memory of playing football and being in and around football?
My earliest memory was sort of joining my local team. So I grew up in a village in Oxford, and I joined my local side, which was called Kidlington Football Club. And I remember joining them and playing in the small games. I don't really have much memory of training and stuff, but I'm sure I did have a lot of training sessions. But yeah, my earliest memory is joining my local side and playing goals. I was more attacking and quicker when I was younger, so I liked to score a lot of goals. But they were my earliest memories of joining my local side and playing in those tournaments in the summer, and winning those tournaments and trying to score as many goals as I could, and just enjoying it really. Yeah.
100%, love it. And then at what age? So obviously you joined that team at 8 years age or whatever age, and what age did you actually get scouted for Southampton?
So I got scouted when I was 7. So as I said, I was in those tournaments that I used to play in with my local sides, and I was playing in a tournament in Oxford. It was, and I remember my dad got approached by a guy who worked for Chelsea. One worked for Chelsea and one worked for Southampton, and they just gave details to my dad, and obviously was a bit shocked, and he got told. And that was my memory. I got scouted at 7 years of age. I got scouted at a local tournament.
Cool. So very early in. And then
Yeah.
so the first you went to Staplewood and obviously up to the academy. How did it kind of feel, and what do you remember from that?
Yeah, I remember going when I was young, up to Staplewood here in Southampton. My dad would bring me down, and to be honest, it didn't really faze me because I was so young that I was at this place that I'm still at now, and it just, to me, was just playing football and having a training session and learning. But it was more obviously professional than what I'd had before. So it was, sort of eye-opening at a younger age that I'd actually joined an academy, and I was aware when I was younger that I was involved in an academy setup, and there was players there from all different places all over the country, and to me that was weird because I was used to playing with my local lads that I went to school with and that stuff, etc. So yeah, I remember my early days at Southampton was sort of, it was a very professional setup, and I was well aware that I was involved in an academy, and the training sessions were good, and so it was interesting going down there young.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for a lot of you guys on the call would have been up to Staplewood and you've seen the facility and how great it is anyway. So yeah, one can only imagine at such a young age going there and playing on some of those nice pitches would have been good. So growing up, and I know this was a question that came in a lot at the beginning. Yeah. Who was your idol growing up, and who did you inspire to kind of be like?
Well, yeah, my idol was always my Frank Lampards and Steven Gerrard. They were the two for me that stood out when I was younger. Both English, both midfielders, which is where I played, and both sort of had excellent careers and still in the game now, obviously at managerial level. So they were the two that I used to love watching, and would be obsessed with, sort of thing, that I looked up to and I always wanted to play like.
Is there anyone in the game now who you still kind of look up to? Is there anybody, not necessarily at Southampton, or anyone in the game now you still look up to?
Yeah, there's plenty. For me, I have sort of lots of midfielders that I like to watch. I like to watch sort of your Luka Modric's, sort of Isco's. They're the players that I like to look at and watch videos of, and sort of base my game off how they play. So they're the sort of players I look up to now, and there's still some young players for the likes of Mason Mount. I look up to what he's doing at the moment, because obviously we're the same age, and I played with him at youth level at England. So he's kicked on to do well and play for one of the biggest teams in the Premier League, if not in the world. I look up to what he's done, but the big players like Isco's and stuff, they're the ones that I like to watch and base my game off.
Cool.
It's good to know. I absolutely loved what Jack Grealish said after his England game recently, where he was interviewed, and he said, you know, he just showed that innocence and how he was almost still like a kid, still wanting to watch these players and just loving the game and wanting to watch the Coutinhos, I think he said, and a couple of others. But
so in kind of your early days at Staplewood and coming through the ranks at the academy, obviously starting at under 8s and progressing all the way through, how would you say the coaches have kind of influenced and affected you both on and off the pitch?
Yeah, at Southampton, the coaches have a big influence sort of on you as a player and as a person, really, because Southampton's big on being also a good player, but also good people. So they sort of drummed into you at a young age that on things you need to do on the pitch and things you need to do off it, and sort of that stuck with me from 8 years old until now, that the Southampton way is being a good player but a good person. So teaching all sorts of stuff, really, from training, things to do on the pitch, and sort of manners off it. So there's a lot that they influenced me with,
Brilliant. And I mean, us at St. Southwest, anyway, we have our commandments, which a lot of you guys will know about our respect, integrity, and things like that. So again, that we work obviously in partnership with Southampton, and we get a lot of the stuff come down. There is always reason behind all the respect and all our commandments that we put in, and it's great to hear that someone who's at the club making sure that they're still doing it at the very top level as well, which is really good. There we are, Callum. That moment there. Talk us through that one. Is that you signing your first pro?
I think this is me signing my first pro. This is me signing my first pro or second pro. I think second. I think it is actually. So I think I'm about 17 or 18 in this picture. 17, I'd say. And this was my sort of second pro that I'd signed. Second pro or first pro? Yeah, second pro. So this was me obviously getting my pictures taken after signing on my pro. And this moment I was still playing in sort of the under 18s sort of youth team, and being dipped in and out the 23s. So it's always a big moment signing a professional contract. As you can tell by my face, I was quite happy with it.
And what about kind of the first pro? So the first one you signed is, what's that moment like for a lot of people?
Yeah, it's a big moment because that's sort of a big stepping stone in sort of your career, really, because you do a scholarship from 16 to 18. It's usually a 2-year scholarship from 16 to 18, and you can sign a pro at 17. So usually a scholarship is sort of the next step in your career. If you sign the scholarship, that's you leaving school and coming to play football full time. But a professional contract is sort of the next step, which is a big step, which is you're going to be older than 18 when you're in your pro, so you're going to need to be playing sort of games at men's level. A professional contract's the big stepping stone for a lot of players.
We're going to quickly go to a question, Callum, from a lad called Leighton Howarth. So Leighton, I'm just going to unmute you now, buddy, because it's a great question based on your early experiences. So Leighton, fire away.
What was it like? What was the hardest challenge going through the academy?
The hardest challenge. I would say for me it was the competitiveness within the group that I was in. So it was at an academy level, of course, as I've said, but everyone's fighting for a place in the team, and when you're younger, you don't really, you sort of forget that, and you've got to fight for your place to get in the team, and that, I think that was the hardest thing for me. Was there was always, it wasn't competitive playing against other teams. Yes, we would want to win games, but it was more about development at a young age, and it was more about progressing and having that competitiveness with your teammates, sort of to play and start in games. But yeah, at a young age, it was all enjoyable. I enjoyed every minute as a young academy player at Southampton. So it was more about learning as a young player.
Brilliant. Thank you, Callum. Great question as well, Leighton.
Cool. So now we're going to kind of talk about life as a professional football player, and I know not many people get to say that. So life as a pro, what is kind of your 3 biggest achievements, not just as a professional, but if you're looking back on your youth and academy,
Yeah.
what would kind of be your 3 biggest achievements with it all?
First of all, being in the position I am is an achievement for me in itself. So being able to play football day in, day out is one of my biggest achievements. And still being in the game at my age is my achievement for me. Making my debut was one of the best things that I could ever think of. I mean, playing in the Premier League and playing against some of the players I did, and still pushing towards doing that week in, week out is another one of them. And then also representing my country at various age groups is something I look back on, and I still have the desire to go and do it again, as it's tougher when you get older. But yeah, playing for my country and was a massive one. Yeah.
So obviously you've done a lot already. Like you said, you've represented your country, you've made your Premier League debut, you've done a lot of things within football already. What still motivates you? What's your main motivation now?
Yeah, my motivation now is sort of self-motivation, being obsessed with where I want to go and what I want to do in the game. So self-motivation, so me not being complacent with where I am and wanting to push on and do more and have more, but also for my family as well. My family put in a lot of hard work and graft, sort of getting me to the position where I am now, and I still sort of owe them, I feel in myself, I owe them to be playing at the top level. So yeah, self-motivation. And for my family, I mean, my family love the fact I play football and still are obsessed with it now, and they love watching me and knowing how I'm getting on. And so for them, it would be great to go and kick on, and they can watch me week in, week out play on TV or in the stadiums.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And then best thing about being a player at Southampton as well, what do you think is special about the club, and what's the best thing about being a player at Southampton?
For me, it's sort of, as I've said, and you know that I've been here for a long time, since I was 8, but it's the close and the togetherness of the whole club. So the way that everyone is in training and the training ground, and the sort of togetherness and the family vibe that we have, is the best thing, and is seeing the club do well, from coming from League One to being in the Premier League now, and obviously seeing the way we're playing at the moment. It's good.
Ideal. And then again, if you could go back now and if you could talk to 8-year-old Callum Slattery entering Staplewood in the back of your dad's car for the first time, what would you say?
I would say to myself that not to be too hard on myself, and just enjoy every moment that you get. So enjoy every training session and enjoy every game that you play, because at that young you're still learning, and you're still learning the game, and I'm still learning the game now. But yeah, to myself at 8 years old, I would say go out there and enjoy and express everything you can, all the ability you have, and put in the hard work, but don't be too tough on yourself.
100%. I think that's really important for everyone on this call.
Mm.
A lot of you guys playing football, whether that be in our regional programs or whatever program or team you guys play for, you've got to enjoy it. Nobody's forcing you to do anything at this age. You've got to go out there. You've got to enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, you don't have to do it. But ultimately, that's the most important thing. Number one, make sure you're enjoying it. And then after that, you can think about anything else. All right?
Yeah.
Cool. So, again, following on from life as a pro, so daily routines, something which came up a lot in the chat earlier. What's your daily routine as a professional football player?
So that changes, varies throughout the week, and depends on what time we have to be in at training. But I would, for a normal day, and it would be in for 9 o'clock at the training grounds, 9 o'clock arrival. It would be 9:15 breakfast up in the canteen, 9:15 to 9:30 breakfast. Have my breakfast, and then from 9:30 to about 10:30, it would be sort of your own time to chill out, do some stretching, see the physios, see any of the analyst people, and then there would usually be a meeting at about quarter past or 10:30, going through what training is going to be, or what training was the day before, or what the game was on the weekend, or the game coming up. So we'd go through that, and then we'd go out to train about 10:30 on the pitch, 10:45, and then we'd train for about hour and a half usually, whether that be tactical, technical, maybe a bit of running, well, a lot of running, as you can imagine. And then we'd come in and have lunch, and then after lunch there's usually time to see the physios to recover. I see ice baths were mentioned in the comments, so yeah, if you need to use the ice baths or the pool, you can use them, or stuff like that. And then we'd do gym usually, about 1:30, 2:00, and do gym session, and then go home, sort of thing. So that's
how many days kind of a week is that training? Is that every day, or how does
yeah
that work?
Yeah, training is every day. It's flat out. It's training every day unless there's a game, and then you may have the day off after the game, depending on the result or what mood the manager's in. You might get the day off, but training is every day. Yeah.
Brilliant. So it is quite full on, guys. So you may not see that when you see all the goals and everything, but it is very much full on.
Yeah.
So if you were not, what would you be doing if you weren't a professional footballer, do you think?
If I wasn't a professional footballer, it's tough, because it's all I've ever known since I've left school. But that would have depended on what sort of what lessons I would have taken at school, or what I would have taken in my years, or if I went to college. But what I'd like to have done is maybe be a coach, or be something to do with like the physical side, so gym or the fitness or stuff like that, because I like to stay active. So something to be, maybe a gym, something to do in the gym, or
and
stuff.
that links onto this one as well, because did you always think you were going to make it? Did you know you were going to make it? How did that kind of happen?
Yeah, it sort of varies for everyone, but for myself, my vision was so focused on, I'm going to be a footballer and I'm going to make it. That's all I ever thought about, really. And I never really had any, when I was younger, I never really had any blips in age groups where I wasn't playing or stuff like that. But it does happen, and a lot of my friends who I grew up with playing football don't play football anymore at all, and they struggle to make that next step in their career. So no, at a young age, I never thought I was going to make it. I never knew I was going to be a professional footballer, but I always had that vision that that's what I want to do and that's what I am going to do. But it's never that easy. It's never that easy.
100%. And I remember listening to something about Steven Gerrard recently, and he said something similar about him being obsessed to make it. He always had and that was the only thing he was obsessed to make it. And it's really good to hear. So, should we watch a little banger from the man himself? Callum, talk us through this one, because this is a bit of a goal. It reminds me of something I do on most Saturday afternoons.
Just at local pub level though, Tom, eh?
Half of mine probably sails over the bar a little bit more than this. So, talk us through this one. If everyone can see that. Love it. That's from St Mary's as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that is St Mary's. Yeah.
So, give us a little wave goal like that as well. Give us a little wave. I want to give you a big wave. Give us a little wave. A few people have scored a few bangers like that. Yeah, picking up that ball there. What's gone through your mind?
So yeah, I was quite young in that video, and that was FA Youth Cup. So it was the youth version of the FA Cup. I'm sure some of you have seen it on TV. It was on not long ago that Chelsea, Man City played in the final. So it's quite a big thing in the youth setup, playing in the FA Youth Cup. So it's a big thing. But it's an under-18s tournament sort of cup sort of thing, and I was 15 at the time, so I was sort of fearless, and I was young, and I was sort of expressing myself, and I just sort of thought I'll pick the ball up here, and I've got nothing else to do. I'll give it a go, and I'll just hit it, and I remember it just flying in the back of the net, and for two or 3 days after, I was just buzzing and couldn't get it out of my head, really. Yeah.
I bet. Some goal. Before we go into this one, which is obviously a great photo, we'll go to another question. Who should we go to, Adam?
So I'd like to go to Josh West. So Josh West, I'm going to quickly find you so I can unmute you.
Here he is. I've got him here. Josh, can you accept that and unmute yourself, buddy? Your time to shine, mate. Josh, I believe you have a couple of questions to ask Callum. What would you like to ask him?
How much do you train a week?
A week, yeah. A lot. A lot is the answer. So every day we train. Every morning or every afternoon we train. And it changes on what we do. So some days are harder than others. Some days we might have a lighter session. Some days we'll have a session where we're on our hands and knees after, and we're dead, and it is a hard session, but it is very intense, and it's every day we train. So I'm back in the training ground tomorrow morning to go again.
I had another question on my question sheet here, which had Josh's name next to it. I don't know if he put two in, but the other question was, what did you have to give up to become a professional football player? Would you feel you've had to sacrifice?
A lot when I was younger. So I used to finish school. I used to finish school and get picked straight up by my dad, and we would come down to training. And yeah, I wouldn't be able to see my mates or anything, or do the sort of birthday parties and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say a lot to get to where I am now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. So now we're going to go on and talk about kind of this, which is you captaining the likes of Mason Mount in there, who's obviously playing for Chelsea now. Who else have you got in there? Anyone else have you got in that team who kind of is a recognised name?
Yes, so we've got Mason Mount 10. We've got Reece Nelson 16 next to me for Arsenal. We've got Trevor Chalobah number 6.
Yeah. You've got a couple of brothers as well, hasn't he? Or a brother?
Yeah, got an older brother who's at Watford. We've got number 2 is Dujon Sterling. He's at Chelsea at the moment. Next to me on the left is Andre Dazelle, who's playing for Ipswich. So there's a few players in there still. I think everyone in that team is still playing.
Yeah. And so obviously wearing the armband at whatever level with an England shirt on, what's that feeling like?
Yeah, it was great. It was great, really. It was something as a young player that's so big, even playing for your country, but to captain it. This was the final against France, and it was in France, and we managed to win it. So yeah, it was great.
Quality stuff. So international duty. Again, you said it's amazing captaining England under 16s. And who did you play with at England under 16s? But how did you get involved in the England setup? What happened there? How did that call happen?
So the first one, I was 15 or 16 when I first got called up, and it goes through the club. So England's make contact with Southampton and say that sort of they want you to come along and train and be involved in some games that they've got coming up. So yeah, I sort of got called into the office by the academy manager, and I got told that England's want you to go and train and be a part of their team for their up and coming games. And yeah, I'm gonna have to go in like the next couple of weeks, and I go up to St George's Park, which was it was when I got told, I was just in shock really, because it was massive.
Yeah, for sure. And was there anyone else you played when you were representing England? Anyone else you played with who's again a recognisable name as well?
Yeah, I trained. Along with games, there's lots of training camps. So they do training camps where there's no games or there's friendly games. So I played with Sancho, and Phil Foden.
You guys know them.
But everyone should probably know both of them with the way they're playing at the moment. And yeah, Mason Mount. So they were sort of around my age group that sort of stood out, and the big players now.
Yeah, decent. Yeah. And that moment there, then, the look on your face, number 10, I believe you're in.
Number 10 on the left, yeah.
And obviously you got Dan James there as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Reece James, yeah.
For Chelsea, obviously, at the minute. Scenes. Talk us through that.
So that weren't too long ago, actually, maybe a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and that was a tournament in France again. It was the Toulon tournament, which we, of course, from the picture you can see we managed to win. But yeah, that was the latest one that I was involved with, where we won the tournament, and yeah, that was a very good team again, as it always is when playing for England. So I had Reece James there. Harvey Barnes for Leicester, David Brooks for Bournemouth. So yeah, that was a good side, and it was usually when you go away with England, it's very competitive, and they always want to win. They want to win trophies at England, so the games are quite intense, and yeah, there's a lot on them.
Class. And that feeling there, yeah, it looks like you're having a good time anyway, mate.
Yeah. Yes, it's great.
Back to life at Southampton then. So, obviously, few questions here. It doesn't have to be at Southampton, actually. It can be best player that you played with at England, Southampton. It may even be when you started off in the under-8s teams. Who's the best player you've played with or against?
Okay, so probably the best player I played against is probably Zaha
Yeah.
for um, for Crystal Palace. That was at home. So he's probably the best player I played against. Played with, at the moment, I'd probably have to say, well, in England, I'd like to say like Mason Mount was probably one of the best, who's at Chelsea now. But week in, week out, probably is James Ward-Prowse for me, everything that he does. So he was one of the best players that I've played in a game with at Premier League level.
And I mean, those set pieces are dangerous, aren't they? How often,
Yeah.
for me, for when I'm taking free kicks, how often is he practicing them? Because I think I need to get out a little bit more. So I'm not quite finding that bench. But how often is he practicing?
Yeah, he's practicing a lot. So he's always out with a bag of balls, whether that's on his own or after training. But usually, I think he's sort of got it on lock now. So he doesn't sort of practice as much. He's got the technique and he's mastered it. But for a while he was practicing a lot, and obviously the technique that he uses now, it doesn't change. Where every run up, every strike of the ball is the same. So he's got it to perfection.
That whip is a bit of tech, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's not bad having one of that in your locker. In your phone then as well. So off the pitch or someone who you may know, who's the most famous person in your phone book? You must have met some pretty cool people.
Yeah. I wouldn't know who to say really. I think I might have Virgil van Dijk's number from when he was at Southampton. I may still have his. I don't know, he might have changed it probably, but
again, I need some more tips of Big Virg.
Yeah.
Have you met Virgil then?
Yeah, so I was in and around the first team when he was at Southampton and in the team, and before he left to go to Liverpool, I was training with him quite a lot. So yeah, I won't block him.
Yeah. Well, we had a question in the office, and I'm going to ask it. Does he smell as nice as everyone says? I've heard.
Yeah,
He does. Right, thumbs
he
up.
does.
Go on.
Yeah.
Thumbs
He
up.
walks through the corridor, and he used to walk through the corridor, and you could smell him 10 minutes later. So.
Thumbs up, thumbs down for everyone in the group. Is Virgil van Dijk the best defender in the world? Thumbs up or thumbs down? I know a lot of you guys are going to say me, but it's all right. You won't hurt my feelings today. Thumbs up or thumbs down. If he's not, give us in the comments who do you think is better than Van Dijk? Because I'd love to have a little chat about who you think could possibly be better than Big Virg himself. Cool. Pre-match tune. I don't know if you've seen it, but I saw Trent and Robbo do theirs the other day on their little interview. They go for All of the Lights. What's your pre-match tune? And who's on the phone or who's on the aux?
To be honest, I listen to music before a game. I like to just chill out in the changing room and just sit and chat and be normal. I don't really get myself earphones in and music straight away. I don't really listen to music in the changing room. I'm usually having a laugh or a joke or just chatting about the game, or like to stay as calm and relaxed as possible, as normalised as I can. I mean, the speaker's blaring and we have a lad that always takes care of the speaker.
Yeah.
But usually I'm never a sort of headphones guy in the changing room. I'm chatting about the game or things to do and just chatting, and I'm just staying as normal. I don't like to worry myself or get too hyped up about the game.
That, in terms of the first team as well, do they have a particular tune that they play before they go out at all? Or is there ever one where it's like, we'll put that on and then we'll go out? If they don't, what if you had the aux, what would it be?
I think it would probably be an Eminem tune.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would get me sort of going.
love it, love it. Right, okay. This moment. So you've recently gone on loan.
Yeah.
Talk about how that was. Why you potentially thought that could have been the right move for you at this stage. Yeah, talk us through that.
Yeah. So yeah, but a loan option is always part of a decision that's for yourself and the club. So myself and Southampton, and we thought that going on loan was something that I needed to experience run of games at men's level and playing in the competitive league and sort of getting game time really. So that's how it came about, and it happened in the January transfer last window. And it was sort of me, my agent, and the club sort of talked through that it'd be good for me to get out and get some experience and be involved in a team week in, week out. Yeah, and yeah, it was that good experience, and obviously it was different. So it was sort of a big move. So I lived out there for a few months. Of course, and moved back. But yeah, it was a good experience, and it's something that most players my age or younger sort of have to do is go out on loan and get that game time and experience different sort of scenarios really, because game time is the most important thing. So you need to get out there and play football, and yeah, you need to experience different leagues and different styles of play, which was what I did.
Ideal. And in terms of kind of the things you found most valuable from that experience, is there certain things where you thought, yeah, I'm going to add this to my game, or this will affect me as a person and maybe off the pitch? What did you find most valuable?
Yeah, it was most valuable. I thought I was stepping into a dressing room where they needed to win every week, and that is what would keep them in the side, and that the manager would keep his job. So they were sort of focused on winning really, and there's no other way around it. They needed to win games, so that was the mindset in that changing room. It wasn't about development no more, or practicing, or yeah, we played well but we lost. It was we need to win, and that was the only mindset of it.
Yes, I guess that's kind of different mindset and different kind of outlook from what you've had all the way through. So obviously it's valuable.
Yeah, definitely.
Different styles and things like that. And living
Yeah.
in a different country, how was that?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it was a different country, so I had to move, and it sort of all happened so quick. Really, I found out on the one day that I would be able to be. That was a decision that I was going to make, and the club thought it was good for me as well. So I found out on the one day, and we come to an agreement. And on the next day, I was on the plane, and I was out in another country, and I remember turning up to the stadium to meet the manager, and I met the staff. And I picked up. I was driving out there and on the other side of the road, so I had to get all used to that. And I got given the flat that I was living in. Yeah, I sort of had to adapt really quickly, and there was no time for sort of anything else really. It was sort of adapt quick and get straight on the pitch. So yeah, it was very different, but it was I also loved it at the same time. Because it was different.
And again, so biggest challenge, is there anything that sticks out to you regarding that? Obviously driving on the other side of the road is pretty big challenge, but is there anything else that decent challenge for you to overcome?
Yeah, probably the biggest challenge was sort of going into a dressing room where people speak a different language, and sort of adapting to that and being the only English player in the changing room. Sort of having to sort of fit in with the team and sort of get accepted by players and fight for my place and step on people's toes to get in the side. You coming from a different country and being the foreigner over there. That was probably the toughest thing, is sort of trying to adapt to the team and be accepted by the team and be part of that, but also at the end of the day, I'm here for myself, and I need to play football, and I need to get in the team.
100%. Ideal. So there's you and your mate Mason playing against each other. This time you're not on the same team. How was that as well? Was it a bit of a weird feeling, or how was it?
Yeah, it was weird, to be fair, because this time he was on loan. That was against Derby, and he was on loan there for the season, and that was in the FA Cup. So we'd already played them at home, and we drew. So we ended up playing them in series, and we ended up losing on penalties. But no, it was good to play against him. It was the first time I played against him for a few years, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good to.
What about penalties? You want to step up and take them?
Would I take penalties? Yeah, I would. I don't have no problem taking penalties.
What about which way do you go? What side are you going to go, and what are you going to do with your penalty?
I go my left, keeper's right.
There's no
Go that side.
Love it. So, rapid questions now. These are, we put a few feelers out, and this is what we come back with. Yeah. Right, Cal, we're going to go quick on these. So, best trainer at Southampton Football Club?
James Ward-Prowse.
Most skillful player at Southampton Football Club?
Nathan Redmond.
Messiest player at Southampton Football Club? Throwing a few under the bus here.
Yeah, I am. Probably Oriol Romeo.
Romeo, clean up. Hard man.
Romeo.
Romeo. You're not going to say anything about his mess then. Favourite player ever?
Ever? This tough one. I'm going to go Steven Gerrard.
Yes, love that. Klopp or Guardiola?
Klopp.
Love it, Carl. Best mate at Southampton Football Club?
Nulundulu. Dan Nulundulu. He's been on the Messi or
Goat versus Goat.
Messi.
Oh, why? I know
Messi.
it's quick, but why?
I
agree though.
Yeah, I don't know. Just for me, Messi.
Boyhood club?
Oxford United.
Oxford United. And the big one, COD or FIFA? We've had this.
COD. All day long for me.
I'm going to let everyone know how we get on tonight because I'm going to teach Callum a lesson. Cool. We're going to go more questions quickly for there's a time for you guys to get your questions in the chat again. We've probably got another 5 or so minutes of Callum's time. So let's have them in the chat now. We're going to run through a few, and Adam's going to unmute a few. But I'm just going to read through. We've got a few saying, "What a banger! What an amazing goal! Oh, you beauty! What a hit, son! What a banger! Strike, banger, goal! Love it." We've got some big ones in there. We've got some decent. Oh, we've got some comments about Virgil. We've got Ramos. No way is good. Phil Jones in there. Not sure about that. Alvaro. No. We got most are agreeing with you on Virgil. We've got anyone to unmute, Adam?
Yeah, I'd like to go to Jude Hemmons, who's part of our under-9. So just going to unmute you now, Jude.
Do you want to pin him as well?
Can you unmute him, Tom?
Where are we, Jude? Let me find you, bud.
For a different football player, who would you play for?
If I could play for a different football team?
Yeah.
From my choice, I would like to either be Real Madrid or Man U, two of the biggest clubs in the world. And I'd get to live in Madrid in Spain if I played for Real Madrid. So that would be nice. So, yeah, probably Real Madrid.
Love it. Wouldn't mind playing for Real Madrid. at all. Who else you got? Isaac Baker, coming to you, mate. Can you unmute yourself as well? I'm going to put you on everyone's screen as well, Isaac. Callum's now looking at you as well. Isaac.
How much did you train outside of normal training at under 12s?
Oh, yeah. So yeah, as I spoke about, when I was younger, I would never not be without football. So I would train and do my training sessions, but I'd always be kicking a ball about, whether that be with my friends or with my dad or on my own. I'd always be playing football. So probably as much as I could, really, until I got called in for dinner or called in to go to bed.
Love it. Again, there's one coming in just on the chat as well regarding injuries. Have you faced any injuries, Callum, or any setbacks where you've maybe had to overcome it somehow?
Yeah. So I faced a long-term injury when I was probably about 16. I'd done my meniscus, which was a ligament in my knee. So I tore my meniscus and I tweaked my ACL, which is sort of a big injury. So I was out for 9 months, which was basically and I had to have an operation on it and sort of get back together. But it was sort of...
I've got someone else I'm going to after.
It was a tough period. Being injured is never nice. You're not really with the team much. You're always in the physio room, missing out on training. But after the injury, I did feel like I come back sort of fitter and stronger and quicker than I'd ever been before. So it was a setback, but it was also, for me, a big comeback as well.
100%. And it's all about learning from those experiences as well.
Yeah.
Adam, who do we got next?
I'd like to go to Alice Warren. She came up with a great question in the chat, so just unmuted Alice. Do you want to ask your question, Alice?
Do you think becoming a footballer affected your education?
Oh, it's a good question. It is a good question. It's a tough one because I know there's probably a lot of parents on here thinking, "Cool, be careful." But to a certain extent, I would say no. It didn't have a massive effect, but it had an effect on me focusing on what I wanted to do. So as I said, I sort of was drummed in when I was young. School was priority, and I needed to do my schoolwork. But I would say, yeah, it had an effect, but not to the extent. I think it didn't take my focus away from school. When I was at school, that was my priority, and I still had to do my homework, and I had to even do school when I left to go down for day release, which was what I used to do. So I used to get school when back home, and I used to do school when I was at football as well. So Southampton were very big on keeping up the schoolwork. And sort of keeping that as a priority and make sure that I was on top of my schoolwork. So I don't think it had a massive effect, but it sort of it took a little bit of time away from my schoolwork. Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to go to Thomas Rangecroft next. He's in our under 9s group. So Thomas, let's get you on the screen. What's your question, Thomas?
Is there any advice about finishing, and what position do you play?
Finishing. Yeah, for finishing, all I would say is just practice. Practice makes perfect. So if you miss, that's not the end of the world. You're going to get another chance in a game. So you just need to keep practicing and keep going, really, and never give up. So if you do miss, it's only a miss. You're going to get another opportunity. Position, I play central midfielder. So I don't really get much chance to finish, if I'm honest. I'm not a natural finisher like yourself, maybe. But yeah, central midfield. And on the finishing, I would just say, just keep practicing and it will come.
Yeah, Thomas is a natural finisher. He loves a goal. We should have asked you, Thomas, for some tips.
Yeah, I'll see you next time.
Right.
Tom,
I'm still looking for that player. So
a couple of quick bar ones. VAR, thumbs up, thumbs down, Callum. Thumbs down for VAR. What make of boots do you wear and why?
I wear Nike this season, just because the boot that's that I feel most comfortable in, and I like the look of them as well. So yeah, I wear the Nike Phantoms.
Favorite boot of all time?
Predators.
Love it. Favorite music artist?
Oh, Drake.
Love it. How many different languages you speak? One. And the next one is, what's your main goal in football right now, and what's next for you?
Yeah, my main goal in football now is to play first team football, and to play in the first team is my goal. And yeah, the next step is to be getting in the first team. And if not, it's to have a good loan spell at another side and get that experience so I can come back and play for Southampton.
Love it. Couple more. We've got three more. What's your favourite skill?
Skill? Cool. Not really a skillful player. Probably be the Cruyff turn.
Love
really
it.
Gets me out.
Who and what got you into football?
My dad sort of got me into football, and he sort of spotted that I could sort of play a bit. So yeah, my dad was probably who got me into football, and what got me into football was just enjoying it really, and the fact that I love doing it, and I would never, as I said a few times, be without a ball. I just loved it, and I still do now. So yeah.
And just important, we've had a set of chats previously. Advice to parents as well. Could you give any advice to parents about how you want your parent to be, and what do you want your parent to do as a parent in an academy or still to this day?
Yeah, I sort of still have sort of the problem now with my dad. He's very strict. Not strict, I wouldn't say strict, but he could be very hard on me at times when I was younger. And I look back, and he sort of looks back now, and he says that, you know, as a young player, as a young kid and playing football, at the end of the day, they're just playing football, and they need to be enjoying it. So an arm on the shoulder or a pat on the back, it goes a long way as a young kid, I think. And if you don't have the best game, then you don't have the best game, and there's a game going to come up the next week. So yeah, I think that it's just encouragement as a young player, and making sure that they're enjoying it. And as I said, that pat on the back goes a long way. And I had my dad, who was, as I said, he was quite sort of tough on me when I was younger and wanted me to play well. And he knew the game sort of inside out, as he used to play. So, but it's good to be sort of tough at times, but also have a pat on the back. So, which was good, was what my dad used to do as well. So yeah, it's just make sure that they're enjoying it. Really, is the main thing.
Brilliant. Okay, we've got someone who you know well coming up.
There he is.
Hi.
Oh,
You okay?
yeah, good. Thank you.
Okay, my question for you is, what's your proudest moment in your football career?
Yeah, my proudest is making my debut. So for me, as I said, coming through from your age all the way up until my age now at Southampton, was making my debut, and sort of paying it back to my mum and dad, really, who put the hard hours in and took me to training. So it's a proud moment for me, and it was also for them as well, being at the game and sat in the stadium watching me play. It was a great feeling, yeah. Feel good.
Brilliant.
When are we going to have a kick around?
Very soon. We can have one soon. After this.
Love it. Brilliant, Milo. Well done, mate. So that's what we're going to conclude there. We're going to wrap it up on that. Hopefully, we can have a kick around with Callum very soon, and we can get him to a session, or we can do a video call very soon. with Callum again. Callum, it looks like you've gained a few more Instagram followers as well from the chat. But again, just from everyone, we want to say a massive thank you for you guys. Callum's taken time out of his busy schedule to come and chat to you all today, give you a little bit of an insight about what it takes to be a professional footballer, and for myself it's been a great insight. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as much as we have. So yeah, a massive thanks to you, Callum, and I'm sure you can see from in the chat box now there's loads coming in saying thank you so much. So top man for it, it's much appreciated.
It's been a pleasure, thank you.
Cool. So everybody, can we start to leave? Once you've said thank you, can we start to leave the meeting? We'll keep Milo in here, and we'll keep we'll keep Milo in here. But everyone else, once you've done that, if you can leave the meeting, that'd be great. Thank you. And give us a little wave. Jacob Hare, can you stay in as well, bud? Good stuff. See you later, guys. Well done. Well done. Good stuff. Love it. Well done, everyone.